So when are we going to get a balanced budget? As Newt Gingrich suggested would be so important. Joining me now is Russ Vought, OMB Director Russ Vought. Happy One Big Beautiful Bill. So, Russ, when are we going to get a balanced budget?
Well, Larry, thanks for having me on. And I think one of the things that this bill did was restore the notion that these kinds of spending reductions are possible again in this town. And we haven't seen anything like this in decades. And this is the end of fiscal futility. And I think one of the things that we want to do, building upon it, is to continue to provide good ideas, to get the rescissions packages passed, potentially send up more, and to show by our actions, not just proposals, to show by our actions concrete, tangible steps to balance the budget. $3 trillion are already coming in from tariffs. CBO has agreed with that. And so we are making sizable strides forward with that. And as we go forward this, we'll continue to update the public as our plans and information, and we'll be working with senators to do that with some of the resources given to us in the big, beautiful bill.
Russ Vought, Democrats are saying that you are gutting the social safety net and that tens and tens of millions of people are going to die. Okay, because whenever there's a spending cut, tens of millions of people are going to die, according to Democrats. Just wondered if you wanted to give a quick rebuttal of that.
It's totally not true, of course. What the benefit social safety net has become a hammock in the last few years, and as a result, dependency has seeped in, and we want to restore the dignity of work. We want people back into the workforce, and this is not a new concept. Bill Clinton signed into law work requirements, and we've now added those to Medicaid. Work requirements includes a lot of different activities. It's not just having a job, it's seeking work, it's volunteering. It's just being people doing active something in society and getting them off of the sidelines into the labor force in a way that helps us economically as well. So we're thrilled that that notion has been discussed about again. And I think the Democrats, with their caricatured responses and their fear tactics, are just going to end up proving to the American people the reality and the common sense of what the president signed into law this last weekend.
One other point, Russ, on this whole business. The Congressional Budget Office says this One Big Beautiful Bill, I believe, will increase the budget deficit by something like $3 trillion. But the estimates coming from the Council of Economic Advisors, and I presume you had a lot of input into this, said that, you know what, you could actually reduce the budget deficit by as much as $11 trillion. CBO says you're going to raise it by $3.5 trillion. White House is saying you're going to cut it by as much as $11 trillion. It may be someplace in between. But I don't understand that. I mean, it seems to me, with all the savings you're going to get and the better growth dividend and so forth, this is a sure winner. You're going to be cutting the budget deficit. Do you have to go out there and sell that or argue that, or how are you going to deal with that?
I've been very clear and will continue to be so. This bill reduces the deficit, period, end of story, and it does to a great degree. And there are two real main factual things that people need to remember that have been largely ignored or just misunderstood. Number one, the way CBO works is they assume that tax relief in law, current tax laws, sunset, and they assume spending is into eternity. We've said this for decades, and yet the fiscal watchdogs want to use this unfair, wrong, and counterfactual way of what current law is to assume that the vast majority of this tax relief, and we have more than current law in it, to be clear, but they want to say that that's a cost and that somehow that's not what American people would know to be a tax increase. Secondly, CBO doesn't do economic growth to any degree, and so what we put forward to the Council of Economic Advisors is to show if you're at 3% economic growth, you're talking about $4 trillion in addition to just kind of static deficit reduction that this bill does. It pays for itself as deficit reduction even without economic growth. You add that on top, and you have trillions of dollars that would not happen without this bill that are leading to economic growth and deficit reduction. It is a home run. There's like no downside to this bill. This is not one where you have to say the kind of pros and cons. It's all good. And that is the story we're going to continue to explain to people as we focus in on each aspect of the bill that was put together to try to get as much through from a procedural standpoint through reconciliation.
And the last one, Russ, in terms of selling One Big Beautiful Bill, the Congressional committee on taxation, the Congressional Committee on Joint Taxation. Okay, they're no friends of tax cutters. Never have been. They use static models. But I wanted to raise with you, their study of the tax cuts shows that the biggest winners, proportionate to what they earn as income, the biggest winners are $50,000 earners and less. And that's like up to 25% in one case, but mostly 10 or 12%. The millionaires, not that I'm opposed to millionaires. I say God bless millionaires. You work hard, you should be rewarded. But they only get the top end millionaires 3% cut. So the middle class is the biggest winner in the distribution of this. This is from the Joint Committee on Taxation. I don't know that people know those numbers, but those are powerful numbers to rebut Democrats who say, as you know, every time, any Republican tax cut is a tax cut for the rich. It ain't so in this bill.
Larry, Democrats have never updated their talking points for President Trump's administration, both in the first term and this term. I mean, his tax relief has always had distributional tables and results for all Americans, and proportionally those that are in the middle class and the lower end of the spectrum. And so this is a phenomenal bill. We're going to see no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. I'm getting people, cops and people who are first responding, texting me and saying, the firehouse can't believe how awesome this bill is. You're going to see that as people begin to update to how their life on the ground in reality has changed for the better. And we're excited to continue to do more as we're just now getting started.
All right. Well, many congratulations, Russ Vought. Appreciate it very much.